Good afternoon, and thank you for attending. My name is Willie, and I'm going to be going over some of the review notifications and what ones might be useful for reviewers and review owners. Before we start, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat function. If you would like more entries to win prizes, review us on G2. And if you are interested in it, the sessions will be recorded and those will be available afterwards. Now, to start things off, I think we're going to go with what is the most important notification, but also the easiest to manage because there is no setup for it. The review ready notification is going to go out once a review is ready. So as soon as the start date on the review is on or prior to the current date, a file has been uploaded and processed, and reviewers have been added to the review, the notification is going to go out and to all the people listed on that review as reviewers and let them know that it is there waiting for them to comment and approve on. So for reviewers, that is probably the most important one, letting them know that it is there and ready to be worked on. Next most important are going to be these two, and we'll group them together a little bit since they both function similarly, and that is the review due today and review overdue notifications, along with review stage due today and review stage overdue if you are using stage reviews. So the due today notification is going to send out a notification if the due date on the review comes up and the reviewer hasn't approved it yet. Same with overdue. If it's the day after the review was due and the reviewer hasn't approved it yet, they will get a review overdue notification. Now, these two notifications are default ones for your contact users, meaning your contact users are just going to get these automatically. But for other users like project members and project managers, these are notification preference options. So it is possible for them to have been disabled or switched to something else. If you do have project members, project managers that are having trouble finishing their reviews on time, these would probably be the ones that you would want to go into their account and take a look at if you're an account admin. Now, along with that, reviews are also a little special in that reviews can have some options on the review itself that would send a notification. The one for reviewers that's going to be important is the one that is notify annotation comment author on reply. So what this one does is it's going to send a notification if someone replies directly to a comment that was made to the person who made the comment, the original one. So this can be very useful for things like if a reviewer makes a comment on a review asking for further information, or if they make a comment that you as the review owner or designer don't quite understand, you can reply to that comment directly, either explaining what you mean or asking them for more clarification, and they are going to get an email with that reply letting them know that someone has made an additional note, and they'll probably need to either go in and clarify what they've been saying, or they get their answer to the question that they've been asked. Now, for reviewers, some of the notifications that we may go over later could also apply to your project members and project managers as reviewers as well. But for the most part, these core notifications are going to be ones that you would want your reviewers to know when the review is ready for them, to know when the review is due, to know when they've missed that due date, and if you have any specific comments or questions on the things that they've been marking up. So before we move on to review owners, I'm going to take a brief aside. I know these are slides, and I am doing this because it's a little bit easier to read, and it's going to be a little bit easier for users as they watch the videos afterwards to kind of scrub through and pause when they're taking a look at. But I do want to take a little aside here to go to an actual RoboHead screen and show you where you would find these notifications. So the notifications that are in the review itself, you will have to, go to the project, go into the reviews and find the review, click on the drop-down arrow by the review name, and use the modify review option. After the review loads up and you scroll down, you will need to expand that additional options section, and in there you will find the additional options that can be enabled for the review. They contain other things, but along with that, they do also contain that notify annotation comment author on reply. Check the box, save the review, and then that will be enabled for that review going forward. For individual users, if you're looking to manage your own notification preferences, those are going to be up in the upper right hand here by the drop down by your name. Click on that and go to Manage My Notification Preferences, and you will be taken to your notification preference screen. This does have the notification preferences for all the different objects here in RoboHead, but for reviews, you would just expand the review section, and you'll see a big list of events, of scopes, and the notification method type. The notification method types are none for no notification preference, the activity stream, which is on the dashboard, an immediate email, which gets you an immediate email as soon as that action happens, a daily email, which goes out once a day, and the weekly email, which goes out once a week. Most of these you're going to want to set up for an immediate email, though some things like review due today may be useful in a daily email as well. For account admins, you can actually do this for other users if they need to have something set up, or you want to make sure that they have something set up. If you go into the user list, find the user you're looking for, click on the drop down by their email address, and use the Manage Notification Preferences option, you'll be taken to that same screen, but instead of for yourself, it's for the user you had selected. And you can do the same things. You can set up notification preferences for them. Now, moving on to review owners. The first notification preference that would probably be the most important is going to be the ones letting them know that someone has finished the review. The review has been approved for approval type reviews, or the review has been marked as finished for the comments and feedback type reviews. This is going to send you an email as soon as someone finishes that review. So if there are 2 reviewers on the review, you will get an email when the first person approves it, and then you'll get an email again when the second person approves it. Now, that can lead to a lot of emails if you've got a lot of people on the reviews, which does bring us to the next notification preference that might be worth looking into, and that's review completed by all reviewers. So this one does function for both approval and comment feedback type reviews, and it will send you just one email once the last person on that review has finished approving it. The nice thing about this is it does limit the number of emails you get, just one email. Everyone's finished the review. You can go in, you can look at comments, you can make changes, get your second version going, upload it, continue working. But it does require that everyone on the review approves the review or finishes commenting on the review and uses the approval buttons. If you do have users that are just not into using the approval buttons, or people are missed, if not everyone has approved it, it's not going to send an email, and you'll probably be better off with the regular old approved and marked as finished emails, even if that does lead to a few extra emails. The next important one would be review predecessor completed. Now, this is going to let you know when the task or review directly in front of your review has been done. It just basically lets you know that your project is, on track. That task has been done. It's now your review's turn. It's up. If you haven't finished setting up the review, you'll probably want to do that and, get things started because you're ready to go. Now, this next one can be a little bit tricky, and I think we'll actually pair this with the notification that is on the review itself, since they both do something similar, just a little bit in a different method. So the review feedback received and the one that's on the review in those checkboxes, notify review owners on response submission, both send an email to the review owner when someone makes a comment on a review. Now, this can be very useful for reviews that have, quick turnaround times, a couple of people. You want to know what they say as soon as they say it. You get an email once that has been enabled. Now, if you're only dealing in those types of reviews, then setting that up at the review feedback received level in your notification preferences would probably work. You could do that for those designers, and then they know that it's always enabled for the reviews. However, if you are doing a mixture of reviews, this one may not be the review feedback received, or getting a notification for every comment here may not necessarily be a good thing. If there's 20 people on the review and it's a 100-page file, you're going to be getting a lot of emails. So in that case, if you're switching back and forth between shorter reviews and longer reviews, leaving this off of the notification preferences and just enabling it or disabling it at the review level, short review, turn that on. Long review, uncheck the box, and you get the notifications for the ones you want, and you don't for the ones that you don't. These are probably going to be the core notification preferences that you'd want to look at for people listed as review owners, trying to keep track of reviews, knowing when the review's been completed, knowing when the review is up, knowing when people have commented on the review so that you know when to, look at it, what to expect from their responses. Some other notifications that review owners, we just have these in a big list here, are, the review created notification preference. Now, this one is going to depend a lot on your workflow. If, a lot of reviews nowadays are created from templates, so this isn't always going to be useful if that review is completely created ahead of time when the project is created and then set up later. Not really very useful there. But if your workflow includes a lot of reviews that get created on the fly as the project is moving along, then this could be very useful for the review owners, letting them know that, oh, someone has set up a review for me. In the same way that knowing when the predecessor task is complete and your review is ready is a good thing, the review blocked notification preference is also probably going to be useful. This would go off if the task or review in front of you hasn't been completed, but your review's start date has come around. So letting you know that, your review should be going off today, but something in front of it isn't done, we'll let you kind of follow up on that and take a look and see what might be going on. The review status changed is probably going to be most useful if you've got a few people working on the review. And, that way, if someone else changes the review to in progress or changes the review that you're both working on to complete, you get a notification that, something has been updated. Some other, one of the other review owners has made those changes for you. And lastly, review start date or due date changed. These are notifications that you can set up, and those, if you aren't always keeping an eye on the project schedule and a project manager has gone and shifted things forward or backwards a week, you may want to know that, that review that was now due this Friday is due next Friday instead. Useful thing for keeping on track of, whether you need to hurry up, whether you can slow down, take more time, basically, making sure your calendars stay straight. You can get an email if that has changed. Likewise, this may also not necessarily be a great one if the schedule is in a lot of flux before things are finalized. But, if schedules are usually set in stone and only change when things come up, then this can definitely be useful for letting the review owners know when things are due. So hopefully this has been useful for you, either, a refresher course for people who are used to RoboHead, or maybe giving you some new things to look at for people who are a little bit newer. But if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat there, and we will be getting back to you as soon as we can on those. Otherwise, up next is going to be Eric Fredrickson, and he's going to be doing shedding a little bit of light on the pitfalls of physical color in digital reviews. Thank you very much.